I would say one thing that I realized was that I have been in all of these roles. I have been, at least felt like I was targeted with harassment or bullying in the past, but I've also been a bystander and not said anything sometimes and felt bad about that. And I've also had people point me out as being a bullying character. So the fact that I have been in all of these roles really is something that has enriched my understanding of the whole dynamic. And it's something I just said to the students right up front in the lesson, is that this can happen to anyone. It's happened to me. I've been called a bully. And I didn't intend to be a bully, but I really was identified as the bully at this time. And it was a hard dynamic to get out of. And so I'm, I believe, it, just understanding that it happens to everyone starts to take away the idea that somehow we're going to identify someone who should be ashamed of themselves. That's not the goal at all.
What and showing that vulnerability, Allison, is role modeling the exact behavior we want to see in that class, because this class is not about teasing apart who is right and who is wrong, or finding the people who don't agree with me at the head of the class and squishing them down a little bit and saying, you need to be more woke. That's not what this class is about. It's important that the instructor protects everybody in the room, um, and realizes that we don't have the right to tell other people what they should feel or think. Um, but but it helps if we can take their perspective and understand where they're coming from, even if we don't agree with it. And that ends up being the core goal of this class, is looking at the other's perspective. And that is a much different kind of conversation than let's go to battle and figure out who can win, because that's not what this is. And I think online is in some ways a little easier to do it, um, because we feel a little protected behind our screens. So I think we as instructors have to model that vulnerability. And our students are so awesome. They do it. They'll come to it. They come ready to engage. They care about this stuff. Most of them care about it very deeply. So given half a chance, they come to play.
Here at Ivey, we're very proud of the work that the Leadership Institute has done on character. And two of the fundamental dimensions of character, we talk about courage without vulnerability. It can be boastful. It can harm. And so you're hearing this word, we're talking about this word vulnerability. And again, it's about modeling that. And I had the privilege of listening and being part of Alison's, one of her teaches that she did with this case. And you could see it was visceral with the students that when someone is willing to share their vulnerability, it helps take those barriers down. But I often talk about when we have these conversations in class or with our employees or people we're working with, is to hold them and ourselves a little bit lightly with this, to hold ourselves with gentleness, because these are difficult conversations. And online, to your point, Karen, in some ways it feels like it can be safer. We're sort of everything is mediated by this technology, right? We're all sort of the same size in these boxes, and that sometimes can help us feel um, somewhat safer. But one of the things that I've seen in these classes is as we go into breakout rooms, it also helps to be mindful that being with 78 people or 38 people, it's really hard to feel safe. And so how we structure, how we allow the students to experience the cases, is not in a massive group. It's in smaller groups where there can be more intimate conversations,
Yes.
and the sharing can stay in that group if that's where it needs
Yes.
to stay. And I think we also try to create that space of that, these are gifts that people are giving us of their stories. And these are not stories that we go out and share because they're not ours to give.
Actually, in my class, we made it a norm that whatever is said in the breakout group stays in the breakout group. And again, the students set that as a ground rule, which I thought was brilliant because people need to feel safe. But we also, when people shared things in the broader plenary, we used the chat function to support those who are showing vulnerability. So if somebody shared something about being a victim of intolerance, we would see lots of comments in the chat thanking them for sharing those things that were difficult to bring up. It was beautiful.